Okay, we are up and running and live on YouTube, and we are being recorded, so we're ready to go.
Okay. Good morning. It's 9:01, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Transportation Committee of Thursday, October 27th. Before we begin, please note this meeting is live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to watch and listen to the meeting online or by dialing into 415-569-6446 for the audio of this meeting. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you haven't done so already, please call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know what items you would like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you and good morning again, everyone. Starting with Director Maston.
Here.
Director Rabbit is not here. Director Rodoni.
Here.
Director Snyder. Not on. Director Thier.
Here.
Vice Chair Hill.
Here.
Chair Arnold.
Here.
And President Theriault.
Here.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have a quorum. Let's see if you're a committee of the whole. We're not a committee of the whole. However, a committee of the whole may be coming when Director Garbarino joins us on the screen. We are now a committee of the whole. Thank you, Director Garbarino. I will confirm staff on the line. We have Dennis Mulligan.
Here.
Thank you. Joe Wire.
Yes.
Eva Barr-Furbush.
Present.
Kim Manolius.
Good morning.
Good morning. Madeline's on the line as well.
Good morning. Yes.
Thank you. Dave Rivera.
Good morning, President.
Mona Babauta is not on yet, and I will see her in a little bit, I know. Jim Swindler. I believe Jim Swindler is on, but he's on the phone. So I will check back with him. And then Kelly Hopper.
Good morning.
Thank you. And we also have Supervisor David Rabbit on his way in. And we have on the line Directors Cochran, Garbarino, Hernandez, and Parr as well. I believe I've captured everyone. And there goes Supervisor Rabbit. Director Rabbit, welcome. Thank you. All right. So that confirms staff and the directors that have now all populated into these little squares.
Okay. Are they all in now? All right, thank you. I would like to remind everyone to mute their microphones until after staff's presentation, and remember to unmute when we open up for directors' discussion. If we have directors calling in by phone, please use your mute button or *6 to unmute yourself. After staff's presentation, I will be asking for any questions or comments on the item. Click on the raise hand function if you have a question, or press *9 if joining by phone. If there are any questions, the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we missed your raised hand, please speak up. After our discussion, we will ask for any public comment before moving on. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. Madam Secretary, please introduce the first item.
Thank you, Chair Arnold. We're going to start with agenda item number 3, which is an informational report regarding the district's advisories committees. No new information was available at the time of the mailing. Dennis, would you like to make a comment about the first meeting, maybe?
Yeah, so we have nothing at the time of mailing for the advisory committees.
I do want to share with you, though, that we did have our first Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. So next month packet will include the minutes from that, and we have another meeting scheduled for the middle of next month. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. Okay. Are there any comments, Madam Secretary, from the public wishing to speak on item 3?
Yes, we do. We have Mr. Pilpo that would like to speak under item number 3. So give me a second. David, are you there? Hello, David.
I can hear everything.
Now I can't hear anymore.
We're checking right now. We believe Mr. Pilpo wants to speak, and we're
David,
checking
go
on the
ahead.
public line. There we go.
Muted my. Yes, David, go ahead.
David? Did you bridge?
Okay, give us 1 second. We're going to try and bring him back.
Okay.
You will be automatically muted. Please press ** to unmute yourself to speak.
This meeting is muted. Unmute yourself.
Hi, David. Thanks for your patience. Can you try again?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
There is a bit of an echo, but
It's a major echo.
I'm here. 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 The echo isn't the echo in my 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 echo.
The joys of technology.
Go ahead.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, just let me know and I can still getting. David Pilpo from San Francisco. I wasn't going to talk today, but I saw on the website last night the first pedestrian and bicycle. Are you getting feedback?
Easy. Try.
David, let's try again. Sorry, we're having some conferencing issue. Go ahead, David. David, go ahead.
Is it better if I hang up and call back?
I think we're good. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Mute off.
David, go ahead, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, much better. Thank you. David Pilpel from San Francisco. So I wasn't going to talk today, but I saw on the website last night that the first pedestrian and bicycle advisory committee or feedback meeting last week.
Madam Secretary, would we like to come back? We can't hear.
I'm right, went off camera for a moment, I think, to fix things. So why don't we, if I could beg your patience.
Yeah, well, let's,
David, I'm so sorry. We are having technical difficulties. I'm gonna have to bring you back to public comment.
we'll come back to Mr. Pelpel's public comment. Okay,
All right.
so we'll continue.
Okay, thank you. There's no action is required on item 3. So Madam Secretary, please continue to the next item.
Thanks. We're going to move on to item 4. That's to adopt the Title VI equity analysis findings relative to assumption of Angel Island Ferry service and fares and adopting the current service model and fares on a permanent basis. The staff report begins on page 5 and continues to page 32. And we have Principal Planner Barbara Vincent here to present the report. Barbara, go ahead and begin your report.
Good morning, Chair Arnold and members of the committee. Can you all hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Excellent. My name is Barbara Vincent, as Almaret said. I'm a principal planner and the district's primary analyst on Title VI issues related to service and fares for our bus and ferry service. The item before you today is to consider adopting the Title VI equity analysis findings relative to assumption of Angel Island Ferry service and fares and adopting the current service model and fares on a permanent basis. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 requires an assessment of the impacts on minority and low-income populations when a major service change or any fare change is made. Board-adopted policy defines an increase or reduction of 25% or greater on any given route as a major service change. As a new service with new fares, the Angel Island Ferry service is subject to such an analysis. The service and fares were established by the board on November 13th, 2021, and service commenced on December 13th, 2021 as a demonstration project with a one-year window before an equity analysis was required. As part of the public process to establish the new service and fares, members of the public commented that the fares were too high for youths. So a proposal for a nonprofit educational group fare was brought forward in February 2022, and that group fare is incorporated into today's analysis. The analysis found that the assumption of Angel Island Ferry service from Blue and Gold does not constitute a disparate impact on minority riders. It does present less benefit to low-income riders compared to non-low-income riders, which constitutes a disproportionate burden. As noted in the staff report, despite providing a disproportionately lesser benefit to low-income riders, the Angel Island Ferry service represents an important means of access to a national historic landmark in the Bay Area and the largest natural island in San Francisco Bay. home to a former U.S. immigration station that processed immigrants from all over the world, and predominantly immigrants from China and other Asian countries during the early 20th century, the state park now provides guided tours of the facilities. Angel Island is also a popular locale for hiking, boating, and recreation. Providing public ferry service allows visitors from all over the Bay Area and beyond to conveniently access this beautiful and important historic site. The fares on the Angel Island service do not disparately impact minority riders, but constitute a slight disproportionate impact to low-income riders on Golden Gate Ferry service. This analysis is based on the survey data that showed that low-income riders tended to use fare media that had increased in price. Clipper Start, the program for low-income riders, is available for use on Angel Island service. However, no respondents to the survey indicated that they had used it to pay for their fare. This finding could be addressed by raising awareness among low-income riders of Clipper Start fares, which provide a 50% discount for low-income riders. If approved, the item before you would establish the Angel Island service as a permanent feature of Golden Gate Ferry. There is no fiscal impact associated with this analysis. I'm available to answer questions now if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much, Barbara. Are there any questions or comments from the directors? Yes. Michael. Yes, I see you.
Thanks. I wanted to make sure it was me you were talking to there. I had a couple of things. First of all, on page 21 of the packet, under conclusion, the second paragraph begins, despite the disproportionate benefit to low-income riders. It seems to me that should be either despite the disproportionate burden to low-income riders, or alternatively, despite the disproportionate benefit to non-low-income riders.
You are right. That is correct. I think that was a typo.
Okay, thank you. Easy to do, especially when you get so close to these things. I've done it many times myself. The other thing was just sort of a remark about methodology. The analysis talks about this as a Marin serving service, as I recall. And of course, one end of it is in Marin, mostly. Most of Angel Island is in Marin. There's a little sliver of it in San Francisco. But the passenger base for it would not be from Marin. The Marin passengers going to Angel Island are probably going to ride on the private service that comes out of Tiburon. So the passenger base would be primarily out of San Francisco or points south and east of San Francisco. So interesting then that the income base used for the analysis is a Marin income base and not a San Francisco income base. That probably makes no difference ultimately to the analysis, but it is curious.
That's a very good point.
I'll jump in, Barb, a little bit. The process we followed is prescribed by the Federal Transit Administration. The landing on Angel Island is in Marin County. The process is arguably flawed, particularly as we come out the tail end of a pandemic. You may recall when we adopted this, the Angel Island Immigration Foundation spoke in favor of this. They raised questions on the group fares and educational fares, and then we took action lowering those educational fares, and they embraced it and supported it. Well, the reality is the time period that we did the analysis is coming out of the pandemic. It's not a steady state. And during that time period, San Francisco schools were not doing their usual, I think it's fourth grade field trips to Angel Island. And so the data that was gathered is somewhat skewed, and the methodology follows that which is prescribed by federal regulation. But staff wholeheartedly embraces making this a permanent part of our service area. We think it's vital to San Franciscans, particularly to school children, to get them out there to see the Immigration Foundation's museum and to hear the stories about our past.
Okay.
And in fact, looking over the surveys, about half of the ridership stated they lived in San Francisco. And the rest was all over the Bay Area and even all over the world.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Jim?
Director
Yes,
Maston,
Director-
yes,
Yes. Go
thank
ahead.
you. I couldn't tell from either the state parks website or ours, and I assume that there isn't one, but is there an entrance fee for the park?
Yes, there is, and it's baked into the fee that you pay for the ferry. And so when we collect the ferry fare, we collect the state parks fee also as part of either our group educational fare products that we sell directly through our customer service or through the Clipper program.
Okay, we might want to make a statement on our website that that's the case, so that there doesn't happen to be somewhere along the line a surprise for them. So thank you. I was hoping that was the case, so thank you.
We will do that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Director Hernandez.
Madam Chair, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Barbara, for this report. I had a couple of questions. And I first want to say thank you for putting together this information. I realize you're working through a template and guidelines that are prescribed by others. And reading these reports can sometimes be challenge. For example, when you describe the impact on minorities, it's, and I imagine this is federal language, it's disparate, but when you describe the impact on low-income riders is disproportionate, and it's a disproportionately less benefit, but it still is, it equates to a burden in my view. I'm wondering about a couple of things. On page 18 of the report, it's noted that there were only 2 days during which riders were surveyed on board. Those 2 days were relatively close together. And I'm wondering if that also was prescribed. Does that provide us with enough data to I'm sorry, you could probably hear me better now. Hopefully you heard all that I said earlier. Okay. Is that adequate in order to make the decisions that we're making today, just those 2 days relatively close together? Number one. And number two, I appreciate your suggestion that in order to mitigate that disproportionate less benefit to low-income riders, one of the things we could do would be to try to advertise Clipper. But does the district have any other suggestions as to how we might try to establish more equity with regard to our riders? And thirdly, I guess, is I'm wondering, based on what I'm thinking, based on the president's comments, whether we should or can extend this out and do some more evaluation and discussion before we make this decision today. So I'd appreciate your feedback, Barbara. Thank you.
What we did when we surveyed was we surveyed 1 weekday and 1 weekend day, so we could cover the two kind of general service types and also the kind of audience or customers who would be using the service. I believe it's adequate. However, we will be conducting a regional survey, and Angel Island Ferry will be included in it, and it will, the days that we survey will be chosen based on some strict rules that the consultant will set up, and so that we get adequate coverage to get an idea of a representative group of riders. We collected, I forget the number, it was something like 500 surveys. So we had a really robust sample. It's possible that if we surveyed over a month or 2 months, we would have gotten a more diverse group of riders. I think that's somewhat likely. However, we were restricted in terms of the time that we had to do the survey. We wanted to get the service going before we surveyed, and then as you know, there's a whole timeline for writing the report and getting it to you all. So we kind of had to work with that timeline. So yes, I agree that we could do more surveying, but I think what we did was actually quite excellent. And those in the marketing department who went out there to distribute surveys and collect them did a great job.
I could add a couple things in response. One is that fortunately or unfortunately, we do need a decision from the board. The Federal Transit Administration has rather rigid rules on transit agencies launching new service. And so we launch it as a pilot or demonstration service, but there's a timeline associated for how long we can do that. And during that time, we're forced to do a Title VI analysis, which is appropriate, and then have a decision made. Otherwise, we have to stop offering the service. This is a very important service to San Franciscans. When Blue and Gold announced that they were dropping the service, we were contacted by many elected officials from San Francisco asking, is there something that we could do? And we had let them know at that time that we were already in conversations to take it over. So it's very important to our elected officials in San Francisco, supervisors and state representatives, and that unfortunately we have to take an action today. Two things. One is Clipper starts a regional effort to have a 50% discount for low-income riders throughout the entire region. And MTC has a new work plan in place to expand the marketing and outreach for that program. It's a new program in its infancy. And so the region recognizes that we all collectively need to grow it. And so efforts are underway to do that, which will help everyone. As Barbara said, Angel Island draws people from all throughout the region. Even though the service departs from San Francisco, people can take transit in from the East Bay and the South Bay, in addition to San Francisco, to get to the ferry terminal where we now disembark from. It's a much easier location to get to than the prior location. So we do have a timing challenge. We are, as a region, going to do more with Clipper Start, and that staff respectfully ask that you act on this today. But when the regional survey is done, because there's a big effort coming up that looks at equity and looks at how transit is serving the Bay Area, we certainly will come back and share with you what the sampling was and what the responses were on that. And if that effort is deemed inadequate by this committee, then we can do more.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I don't see any hands. All right, this concludes discussion on this item. But
Director Rabbit has his hand up.
oh, sorry, I don't see him.
I put it up
I
late.
see
I
you now, David.
I put it up late, but just to reiterate what Dennis said, just yesterday at MTC, we spoke for Dennis hours dealing with equity issues. And it's not just fares, as Dennis has said before, it's also convenience and the entire package. This has been a hot topic, one that Therese McMillan has taken under the fold 4 years ago. And I think that while the district plays an important role in fulfilling that, I believe that really, because of the way that we're all financed, the region plays a very important role in how that rolls out and is coordinated and is funded. And I do think that, I appreciate the comments, but I do think recognizing the need to move forward, but also recognizing the need that this issue is not going away. And I believe it'll continue to move through the system. Just the other day up in Sonoma, we put nearly $5 million into programs to reduce or have free fares for youth. So I think the issue is an important one and not one that is going away anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. Any more hands up? I don't see any. So before we take our vote, Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 4?
We do not have any speakers for this item.
All right. So I will now entertain a motion on item 4.
Madam Chair, I will move the item with the appropriate changes to the conclusion.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second, Rabbit.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. We have a first and second on item number 4. And I'm sorry. There we go. On item number 4. And I will start with you, Chair Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy. Not on. Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice, it's not on. Director Grosboll, it's absent. Director Hernandez,
With staff's assurances that we will deal critically with the equity issues, I will, I'll vote yes.
thank you. Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder, it's absent. Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier,
Aye.
thank you. Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 11 ayes.
Thank you. All right. Madam Secretary, please continue with the agenda.
Thank you. We're going to move on to agenda item number 5, which is to approve updates to the agency safety plan for Golden Gate Transit. That staff report is quite lengthy and it begins on pages 33 and runs through 122. Beverly Wong, our operations and schedules analyst, is here to present the report. Beverly, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Arnold and committee members. Item number 5 is to approve updates to the agency safety plan for Golden Gate Transit. The Board of Directors approved the agency safety plan back in October 2020 in response to the Federal Transit Administration's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTAS rule. The agency safety plan is structured around the concept of a safety management system, or SMS. The district's SMS is a comprehensive, collaborative approach to managing safety in the workplace. A major goal of the SMS is to bring everyone together at all levels of the organization to control safety risks, detect and correct safety problems, share and analyze safety data, and measure safety performance. The agency safety plan consists of the 4 components of SMS: 1, safety management policy; 2, safety risk management; 3, safety assurance; and 4, safety promotion. As per the FTA, Golden Gate Transit is required to annually review the agency safety plan and bring any significant changes to the board for approval. The changes being presented to the committee today are in response to new mandates in the federal bipartisan infrastructure law, which went into effect on November 15, 2021. As a result of the new bipartisan infrastructure law changes, the following updates have been made to the agency safety plan. The safety committee composition and duties have been updated. The safety committee must now be convened by a joint labor management process and consists of an equal number of frontline and management representatives. The ATU Local 1575 leadership was required by law to specify the frontline employees serving on the committee. In addition, the committee is now charged with a number of new responsibilities, including approving any updates to the agency safety plan prior to board action, and identifying and recommending mitigations and strategies to reduce the likelihood and severity of consequences identified through the safety risk management process. The agency safety plan now includes a risk reduction program for transit operations to improve safety for transit workers. Strategies that minimize exposure to infectious diseases are now included in the agency safety plan. Staff has made sure that these strategies are consistent with guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and our state health authorities, which are California Department of Public Health and Cal-OSHA. Additional safety trainings for operations and maintenance personnel and personnel directly responsible for safety. This includes the completion of a safety training program, continuing safety education and training, and de-escalation training. Other regulation requirement changes include the TSA's reporting requirement for potential threats and significant security concerns within 24 hours of initial discovery. Finally, the ASP was updated with the new Golden Gate Transit Bus Division organization structure that was approved by the board in December 2021, as well as other factual changes to reflect the most current information in the agency safety plan. The Safety Committee has reviewed and approved updates to the agency safety plan at its September 14th, 2022 meeting. There is no fiscal impact at this time. In closing, staff is respectfully requesting approval of updates to the agency safety plan version October 2022 for Golden Gate Transit in compliance with the FTA's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan rule. At this time, we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Beverly, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions or comments from directors on this issue? Yes, President Therio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thanks, and thanks for all the work on this. And I do note that the range of changes in the document is identified in the cover document. But for those of us in the habit of chewing through the entire document, it would be useful, and I've said this in an earlier instance in another case, to have a red line version also, so that we could see how the changes play out in the document itself. And so I would request that for any future presentation of this. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm looking for hands. I don't see any. Does someone have their hand up that I've missed? Oh, yes, Holly, Director.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you for that report and also for ensuring that safety is always first. It's critical. And those are my comments.
Thank you. Yes, Director Parr.
Yes, thank you. Excuse me. At the board level, we tend to only hear when things go wrong. And I was grateful to have a copy of the entire safety plan. And as I read through it, I was gratified at all of the training that you do in your department, Mona, and all of the mitigations and how seriously all of that is taken, and the fact that there's a bus safety committee that reviews that. So thank you for your time and effort on that. It allies some of my anxiety sometimes about things that have happened. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, this concludes then discussion on this item. But before we take our vote, Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 5?
We have no speakers for this item.
All right. So I will entertain a motion on item 5.
So moved.
Second, Rabbit.
Great, thank you. Madam Secretary, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. We're voting on item number 5 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Giudice is absent. Director Grosball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder is absent. Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 11 ayes.
Thank you. The motion passes. Madam Secretary, please continue with the agenda.
And I'm sorry, you have 12 ayes. We have the Director Grosball that added on.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're
Okay.
going to continue on to item 6, and that's the monthly report on bridge traffic, transit, rider trends, and transit service performance. And that staff report begins on page 123, and Dennis will be presenting this report. Dennis, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Secretary.
Oh,
Dennis, you muted yourself somehow while you were in the middle of talking.
Wow, I apologize for that. So the written report is before you. I'm available to answer any questions. Of note, bridge traffic is down about last cited month 13.3%, but in the morning commute period, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. is still down over 30%. Bridge and traffic is holding steady right now. Bus and ferry are slowly climbing out of the lows of the pandemic, but we still have a long ways to go. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow at the board meeting under my GM report. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No, I don't see any questions. Nope, I don't. Okay. Thank you for your report, Dennis. And this concludes discussion on the item. Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 6? No, you're muted.
There we go.
Okay.
So my headset is providing some strange technical difficulties today. We are going to go back to public comment. We don't have any commenters on this item, but we want to go back to public comment and try to see if we can get David Pilpel back on the line. So if you give us 1 second, we're going to give him one last try. If not, we may take him as one of the first commenters on the first and the next meeting so that we can kind of reset the system.
Okay.
David, go ahead.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay. David Pilpel from San Francisco, and this was relative to item 3 on transportation, the advisory committee's report. So I wasn't going to talk today, but I saw on the website last night that the first Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee, or PBAC, meeting occurred last week, and General Manager Mulligan mentioned it earlier today. I applied to serve on PBAC in July and got a short rejection letter in late September after the last board meeting. I was surprised, disappointed, and hurt. I've served on a number of public bodies, which is detailed in my application letter, and have steadfastly supported this board and the district for many years. I was actually looking forward to working collaboratively with others to help make district facilities and services more accessible to bicycles and pedestrians. But the rejection didn't bother me as much as the secrecy, with no meaningful explanation, since I included all of the requested information in my application letter and could have been contacted if anything else was needed. And most important, that the first PBAC meeting was not mentioned in the rejection letter, nor was I encouraged to attend and participate as a member of the public. While the district claims to support diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with public comment and input, that's not the reality. With overall distrust of government and general hatred on the rise in the world, I hoped and thought this place was different. As board members cycle in and out and district officers and managers retire over the next few years, please think carefully and honestly about whether you made the district better while you were here. That's all, and I have no further comments on any other items today. Thanks for listening.
Madam Chair, if I may, I would like to reply to David.
Yes.
I'll start off by apologizing. He should have been made aware of when the meeting occurred. We did receive 14 applications, and we accepted everyone that filled out an application form who applied to be on the committee. Mr. Pilpel sent in a letter. He was asked to submit an application consistent with all the other individuals that did. And maybe there's a break in communications. He never submitted an actual application. He gave us a lovely letter. But we should have informed him, if we didn't, that we needed an application. I believe he was informed as such. And if he submits an application, we'll add him to the other 14 people who are members of the committee. It is something that we do broadcast to the public. We did have a lot of participation, and we currently have 14 members, and 15 members would be even better. So I encourage Mr. Pilpel to submit an application like the other individuals did, and then we will welcome him to the committee. And if he's not willing to fill out the application form, then we should have a conversation with him about, what his concerns are about participating in the process through that mechanism.
Thank you, David. Okay. All right. Any other? Oh, yes, Director Hill.
Yeah, just a comment. Mr. Bill Pillbell is a pedestrian, and we have no representation for pedestrians on the committee. So I think it would be helpful to find a way of letting him apply and perhaps perform that role. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Tier.
Yes, I just wanted to echo Director Hill's comments and say that I am always amazed and excited when I hear David Pilpel giving input to this board. And I actually think he'd be a fantastic addition to that committee. So I do hope that everything's worked out and he's able to get on that committee.
Thank you. We look forward to receipt of his application.
Chair Arnold, he has some closing comments if he could finish his comments, Mr. Pilpel, that is.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can, David, go ahead.
Just to conclude, thank you for the response. The application apparently was a PDF form, which was not posted on the district website, so I had to contact staff to get it. They mailed me a printed application, and the boxes on the form were very small, and I didn't want to write in, 3-point type what my answers were, or just say, see attached letter. So what I did instead was provide a detailed letter that answered all of the questions and provided all the information that would have been on the application form. If someone wants to get me a PDF version of the application form so that I can, cut and paste the same information and provide it, if we have to go through that, I'm happy to do that. But it just seems like form over substance. The information I provided was all there, and staff could have contacted me and said, hey, we need this in a certain way. Can you just fix it like that? And no one did. Instead, I got the rejection letter. So thank you for listening and taking the time. You have other business today. Thanks.
Okay. And I don't see any other hands. Let's see, we are now going, do we have anything else to report? Let's see, are we moving to item 7?
That's right. So we're going, we just took a public comment then we're at the end of the agenda.
Okay, great. Okay. So that concludes discussion on this item. And Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public that want to comment on 7? I think
no, we're done there.
We're not there.
No, we're done now.
Okay,
thank you.
Good. So we've reached the end of the agenda, and may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I so move.
Second, Director Thier.
Okay, all those in favor? I hear no objections. This concludes the meeting of the Transportation Committee. Thank you, colleagues. And the time is 9:49 a.m.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, give us 1 second and we can turn it over to